Hey there, writers and muse daters. Today I want to talk about what the rules are for publishing, who makes them, and whether or not you actually need to follow them. So one of the things that I've been receiving a lot lately are emails and messages from people who have been pretty antagonistic and bitter, really, about, those aren't really the rules, it's not really like that. And really, that's coming from a place of bitterness, because there are a lot of people out there who would like to see the publishing world as sort of as a dream world. We've all got this fantasy, I think, of writing a novel, sending it off, and the publisher loves it, and we get published, and the end. So, and we make a lot of money in the process. And that may have been true at some point in history, and it might be true today for an anomaly of an author. But for most of us, we've got a long haul, an uphill battle toward publishing, and there are rules. And for a lot of these people who come at me with these kind of bitter questions or this antagonist point of view, they don't want to follow the rules, and mostly they're just upset that there are rules. So one of the rules that they don't want to follow is that they're not willing to do the work. So, this thing that we do called writing has its moments where we're in flow, and then there are moments where it's truly work, and we've got a lot to do to revise a novel, and editors come at us and they say, no, you need to change this, you need to change the gender of your protagonist, you need to change the name of your protagonist, you need to change your title. And there's some work there, and there's also an ego sacrifice where we have to decide whether publishing is more important or if having our main character's name is more important. The other thing that these people have in common as we have a conversation about where they are and what they're bitter about is that they're not willing to play by the rules. They don't want the rules to be in place. They don't agree with the rules, and so they're not willing to play by them. They're also wishing and hoping that it could be different, that they could just write that novel and some publisher wants to give them 5 figures for it straight out of the gate. And again, there's a really nice fantasy. It happens every now and then for a writer, but it's not the reality for most of us in the publishing world. So the bottom line here is that you might not like the system and the way that the system is put together, and that we have to go through agents, and then the agents introduce us to editors, and then the editors change our novel up a whole lot, and we don't get a whole lot of choice about the cover. But that is the reality of the situation. That's the paradigm in which we're all working. And so we have to accept that that's the way that it is, if we want to have success. Now, some people try to circumvent that whole process by self-publishing, and they think, haha, I've gotten around it, I didn't need to find an agent. But what they've done is, and this happens so many times, they end up with a garage full of unsold books because they thought they got around the rules. But the thing is, it's not that we're like making up rules just for the sake of having rules. The rules are in place because this is how the business works. This is how we sell books. This is how we get readers. Publishing houses work the way that they work because we've established a pattern of this is how we get readers. This is how books sell. This is how this process works. It's not just some random old boys club. It's really a process that works. And so if you think that you can circumvent the whole thing by self-publishing, if you can find a way to sell a lot of books, more power to you. But the thing that I find time and time again is that people self-publish and their best friend buys a book and their mom buys a book. But, for the most part, they're just stuck with a whole lot of books. And you're not writing a book because you want to have books sitting in your garage. You're writing a book because you want people to read your message, because it's important. So there are ways to do that and make that happen, and that's why we have rules. That's why we have systems to make these kinds of things happen. So it's a little bit like applying to college in a way, and sort of expecting that whatever college you're applying to, or your kid, or however you want to imagine this, sets the terms for how that's going to work. Like, oh, I'm really talented, and you should just know I'm talented, so take me in your college. That's not how it works, right? Each college kind of has, here's what we're looking for in a student. You have to fill out this form, you have to write this essay, you have to take this test. The college sets the procedure, and in the same way, publishing houses and agents set that procedure. We, as the writers out here in Writerland, we don't get to choose what that looks like. And it's just as obnoxious as if you called up, State University, and you're like, hey, I'm going to send you some pictures of me in the pool, and you should take me. That's not how it goes. That's not how it works. Even though lots of people want it to be that way, and they come to me with their complaints about the system. I don't make the system, but what I do is I help people to be successful within the system that currently exists. So I help people to transition from the art of writing into the business of publishing. So that's what I do to help these people publish and get representation. So if you're ready to accept what the guidelines are and to write books that sell, that readers eat up, whether you're going to traditionally publish or self-publish, if you truly want that for yourself and you're willing to do the work in order to get to a place where you're a successful author with readers who read and buy your books, let's chat. I'll throw a link into the comment section here, and you can book yourself right into my calendar. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to be, and how you can get there. So I have limited slots in the next 2 weeks. I'd love to chat with you if you're serious about publishing.